this film has been in production sort of for what, 40, 50 years? Is that correct?
Sense of the word, yes.
Yeah, she definitely started making it before I was even born. But she, she documented. She was somebody. It's a very unique person in that she, from a very young age, if she bought a piano in 1969, she saved the classified ad. She saved everything, I guess, in anticipation of some kind of project. And then when she passed away, she left this, posthumous wish that the trail she left behind be turned into a documentary. And by then, 72 years of her time, of an extremely prolific person's time on Earth. So there was a lot of material.
What was it that made her, because not just, you're talking about buying a piano, keeping receipts, she was actually documenting, she was recording herself. What do you think it was? I mean, how could she have known how interesting her life would be later on? She just had some knowledge of this?
Yeah, I don't know. I never understood it. I never, the minute I met her, there was all this stuff about somebody following us around with a camera, always taking photos. And then, once Facebook and all that came out, it was just crazy.
I think, yeah. And I think, like, looking at the material, I mean, Allee, they're part of it because she really started having someone follow her in earnest in 1978. And she was really, she was such a consummate artist, and she was really fascinated with the creative process. And I think she felt like any moment that was missed, I mean, she had so much anxiety about a camera not being there. And I think it almost became like a companion, because she was very social, had tons of friends and romantic relationships, but she did live by herself. And she would even record, kind of like a diary, because she'd get it sort of transcribed, but she would record audio and fall asleep doing it, just at home by herself. So I do think it made her feel less lonely somehow. There was some kind of, which is sort of funny because now, with the way that the internet and social media is used, that behavior is kind of ubiquitous. But at the time, nobody was doing that.
Yeah, well, she was a pioneer, it seems, in, with social media or what have you, tech.
Yeah, I mean, that was like an incredible thing. I mean, I was just describing it to someone, and I was thinking about it like from her point of view. And Allie was like, she threw these incredible, legendary parties. She'd bring together like sort of like the most interesting celebrities, but then also, B-list, B-movie actors. I shouldn't say B-list, but like, actual kind of more like kitschy personalities, interesting artists. And she would have a very like a theme that she really stuck to, and she would do like food and interactive activities. And people that we interviewed for the film would describe how they like, even if you were the kind of person who's more of a wallflower at a party or who liked to sit back and observe, she'd find a way to draw you in to the action. And so she was always creating these kind of immersive worlds. So I think, artists are often people with ideas that it's almost like a problem they're trying to solve of how to like manifest that idea. So when she started to get wind of the internet, I think for her, it was like, oh, this is a more efficient way to throw a party and to get people to interact and to immerse them. Whereas all these tech people were seeing like, I don't know, code or whatever they were doing. And so she would, go up and pitch this idea she had for this kind of like, it was like a social network meets Facebook meets eBay. Like it'd be a virtual flea market, and it would be a place to share videos like YouTube. It was all these things that she was thinking about in like 1990 when nobody was even on email or anything. And then she'd go to Silicon Valley and pitch this with, like, she was working with Prudence and with Mark Cuban, and they would, and these tech guys would be like, well, no one's ever going to buy anything on the internet. And they just
nobody's ever going to sell anything.
Exec, and then you're like, well, what they could see is like, it's really hard to get on. It's slow. It's clunky. It wasn't like a sexy interface, to get on the internet in the early days. Like you didn't see streaming and whatnot. But again, as an artist, I think just for her, it was like, she had a different kind of, you have a vision for something. How do you execute it? How do you get people in? And so I think that was why she was able to see that so early.